All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on? We're Mike Kadlick, Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media outside of Gillette Stadium, getting you ready for the 2025 Patriots training camp coming up in a couple of weeks. And to get you ready, we are going to go through a list of breakout candidates for this team. Obviously, a team that struggled last year, looking to improve this year, made a lot of changes, coaching staff, players, free agency, draft, etc. But there are 5 breakout candidates that we have in mind, 3 on offense, 2 on defense. And we're going to tell you why we think they can break out and potentially help this Patriots team improve off of last season. The first one, Tayler, we will start with, both on the defensive line. We'll start with Christian Barmore, someone who you picked as your team MVP. You can check that out in our other Way Too Early Accolades episode. Why do you think he can be a breakout candidate on this Patriots defense?
Because I thought he had his breakout season when he was healthy. That 2023 campaign was fantastic. You look by the numbers, you look by the tape, he was one of the best players at his position, but didn't get the recognition for it. So while I'm not sure how much higher he's going to go, and I still think he has plenty of room to grow, I think this is the year that he does get, whether it's the Pro Bowl votes, whether it's potentially even in the All-Pro conversation, because he is going to be the focal point of this defense. I know when Milton Williams was signed, we were thinking maybe it's going to be him. He is going to have a key role on this defense, but Christian Barmore I see as more of their Jeffrey Simmons with this Mike Vrabel, Terrell Williams coaching staff, where he was the straw that stirred the drink. I don't know why I always try to use that phrase because I never say it right the first time, but this is a guy who's going to move all around. Like, I asked Christian Barmore, do you like this system because it's more upfield? He actually explicitly mentioned that yes, he loves that he gets to be more aggressive, but he also said he's been watching tape of guys like not just Jeffrey Simmons, but also Chris Jones, also Casey Hayward, big guys who don't just play defensive tackle as those 3 techniques, but they also kick outside and get mismatches against tackles who can't handle their power. That's what I expect from Christian Barmore. So I think he will consistently be put into positions to succeed, but also under the tutelage of a Mike Vrabel, of a Terrell Williams, guys who have a long track record of getting the most out of their defensive linemen. When you have a talent like Christian Barmore, I just don't see how this isn't the year where he puts the entire league on notice as a bad man who needs to be accounted for.
Another guy on our list, Keon White, also along the defensive line, will be working in tandem with Christian Barmore, has shown flashes, now moving into year 3. What makes him a breakout candidate on this Patriots defense?
So as you can tell, I'm very high on this Patriots defensive line, and I think Keon White is finally going to break out as one of the true gems in this defensive front. Now, as a rookie, you saw all the flashes of potential, his ability to really put some of the league's best offensive linemen into some tough positions. Then in his second season, he was the actually most effective interior pass rusher in the league by a decent margin. Now, obviously, he lines up everywhere. He's one of the most versatile defensive linemen in football, but really the next step is finishing plays more consistently and being better on the outside. Now, kind of like Barmore, where when he broke out, he was the only real threat on that defensive line consistently. That was Keon White last year with no Christian Barmore, but then he quieted down because he was getting double and triple teamed at times as a player who was still very much in the process of growing, but now he's got Mike Smith, kind of like what I mentioned with Terrell Williams and Mike Vrabel for Barmore. More specifically, Mike Smith is a guy with a long track record of success, specifically with bigger edge rushers, and he mentioned that specifically. He's worked with guys like Tamba Ali. He's worked with Rashawn Gary, with Deario Smith, some very effective bigger edge guys, and with Milton Williams and Christian Barmore on the inside, Keon White's still going to move around, but he's going to be a much more significant presence on the edge. And when I asked him, what was really holding you back in previous season, he mentioned one that he, I guess wasn't getting coached. Yeah. In his words, not mine, but also that Mike Smith has basically given him a plan and a vision. So now he's not just attacking, he understands why he's doing it. And even in the spring during minicamp, you were able to see that he was actually helping Anthony Jennings kind of with his pass rush moves when they were doing things a little bit more slowly towards the beginning of practice. So I think Keon has all the tools to be one of the best defensive linemen in this league. Now he finally has the coaching to put that all together, and it feels like the light bulb has kind of gone off for him. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a Pro Bowler this year, but I think he's going to be much more of a household name than he's been in previous years.
CLNS Media is powered by Prize Picks, the best place to get in on the action, even throughout the summer. There is still baseball, there's women's basketball, and Taylor, we are right on the cusp of football season. There will be preseason games loaded up on Prize Picks, so if you want to get in on the action, head over to Prize Picks. Use code CLNS. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Moving over to the offensive side of the ball, we will keep it in the trenches here again, however. Mike Onwenu finally looks like he's going to stay entrenched at the right guard spot, was moving around a lot throughout the course of his career. Now the Patriots signed Morgan Moses for right tackle. Looks like Mike Onwenu is the starting right guard and under contract for years to come. So what What changes for Onwenu this year? Why do you think he can also break out on this offense this year?
It's kind of similar to Christian Barmore, where he's a guy who was put in some really difficult spots, but has shown that he has the potential to be one of the best at his position. Mike Onwenu, when he's at his best, is one of the most intimidating guards in football. But like you said, it was just snip, snap with his positions. And he admitted last year that it made it really difficult for him to really gain any kind of momentum. So this year, you're hoping with Morgan Moses to his right, even if, Morgan Moses being an older guy who does have a history of not playing the entire season, maybe there's Caden Wallace or Marcus Bryan or someone next to him at times, but that Mike Onwenu is going to be able to stick to his spot. Also having a veteran like Garrett Bradbury, I think those two are going to help each other in different ways, but it just feels like Mike Onwenu is in a much better position than he's been in a while, and with a veteran offensive line coach like Doug Marrone, a very big offensive line staff, I do think that now he's in a position to finally capitalize on all of his tools and go back to being one of the best pass protecting and run blocking guards in football.
Love it. All right, let's keep the skill position guys together. We have two more, Drake May and Deario Douglas, coming into this Patriots offense. Josh McDaniels obviously comes in as the offensive coordinator, has had plenty of success with slot receivers in the past. So what can Josh do to let Drake May, who had a good rookie year, everyone's waiting for him to make this year two leap, and then also how can he make Deario Douglas turn from some guy with a lot of potential, someone we've talked about as, pop's gonna pop until, actually getting pop to pop. How can he get those two guys, how can he get the most out of those ones?
Well, I'll start with Deario Douglas. So his first season, I think Pop was held back by one. He was a rookie coming from Liberty, so a lot of Bill O'Brien's offense, I think, may have just been kind of tough for him to learn, right? We could tell when it came to settling in his zone, sometimes going off script, he didn't always seem like he knew exactly what to do, but also Mac Jones. I think there were so many opportunities that were left on the field because he didn't have the quarterbacks to capitalize. Last season, I still think that he and Drake weren't always on the right page, but it also felt like Alex Van Pelt didn't quite know how to use him until later on in the year when you started to see the offense funnel through him a little bit more, where you didn't see him on early downs, but then they said, all right, let's just use him on RPOs. He doesn't have to block. We'll use him as an extension of the run game to put the defense in conflict and maybe open up some run lanes as well. But Pop's already said it. He loves this Josh McDaniels offense, the history of slot receivers, and he says he feels comfortable in it. And the only time we really saw any issue with communication or reading defense is it looked like it was more on Drake because Pop settled where he was supposed to, and Drake actually threw it right to Christian Gonzalez against a cover 2 defense where, again, it seemed like Deario Douglas was where he needed to be. So it really does seem like he's doing what he's supposed to do. Beat Carlton Davis twice on crossing routes. Like, Deario Douglas was by far the best player for the Patriots offense during the spring. I think he's going to continue to build that momentum, and Josh McDaniels knows how to put these guys in the best position to succeed, whether it's matchups, right? You go empty, have Deario Douglas as that number 3, get him matched up on linebackers, play action, all those different types of ways to just make sure that Deario Douglas maybe has a little bit more of an advantage and doesn't always have to win on his own, even though I think he's more than capable of that. And then specifically to Drake May, I think, one, the matchups are also going to help where Drake is just going to have much easier opportunities. Last year, when you look at his deep throws, it always felt difficult, right? Very rarely was it on play action, and very rarely did he and his receiver look like they were on the same page outside of like a Keyshawn Booty go route. So I think that Josh McDaniels will make life easier on Drake from a schematic perspective. Cerebrally, the fact that he's worked with the greatest quarterback of all time, has another very high IQ player in Drake who don't want to put too much on his plate, but we heard last year, T.C. McCartney calling Drake maybe the smartest guy in the Patriots organization, so I think he'll be able to handle this very adjustment-heavy Josh McDaniels offense, and with the freedom that he's going to get, it'll put Drake in more positions so he and the offense can succeed. So, again, Josh McDaniels is kind of the ship that rises all boats, or the tide that rises all ships. I am not doing well with my
He knows football, today. He doesn't know metaphors.
Yeah, sorry, I'll stick to football. But I do think that Drake and Pop will both benefit from Josh McDaniels' presence because of what we've seen him do, really, not just with Tom Brady, but with several other quarterbacks as well.
A lot of exciting stuff going on here down in Foxboro as the Patriots get ready for 2025 training camp. Make sure you keep it here on Patriots Press Pass. We'll have you covered every single day throughout the summer and into the fall. So rate, review, subscribe, check out all the pods on CLNS Media. And until next time, thank you for watching.